Shae Michael Sunwell. We met 7 years ago this week, almost to the day, at Whitworth University in Warren Hall. Our journey from there to here isn't what most consider a traditional love story. There was no love at first sight. Our first kiss was anything but a fairy tale. Our love story is different, maybe even messy, but I wouldn't change a thing. 7 years ago, I could have never imagined marrying you. Today, I couldn't imagine it being anyone else. I am so incredibly proud to call you my wife. I have never felt a shred of doubt about your feelings for me. You have exceeded any expectation I had about what it feels like to be loved unconditionally. You inspire me more than you will ever know. I am constantly amazed by your compassion, and I will be forever grateful that you remind me of the man I am in the moments I forget. Shae, I promise to follow you as much as I lead. I promise to always protect you, even when you don't need it. I promise to use my heart and empathize with you more than I use my head to try to get logic all in your feelings. I promise to squeeze your cheeks, even when they're old and wrinkly, which may or may not be a double entendre. I promise to praise more than I criticize. I promise to raise kids who are more like you than me, even if karma is working against us. I promise to be less prideful and more apologetic. I promise to make God a priority in our relationship, even if that means watching less football or finding a service that ends before 10 a.m. We can iron out the logistics later. I promise to always encourage you and support you in the many challenges that life has in store for us. And I promise to always be honest with you. I could stand here and promise you the world, and I would mean every word. But as you know, I'm not perfect. I've never failed at anything in my life as much as I've failed at being what I feel you deserve. But I will never stop trying to be that man. I promise to never be complacent. I will never quit on us. Finally, I promise to never make you get rid of Eeyore, so long as I can keep my baby blankets. Which brings me to a quote from Winnie the Pooh that I'd like to close with. If ever there is a tomorrow when we're not together, there is something you must always remember. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. But the most important thing is, even if we're apart, I'll always be with you. I love you, 5 ever.
Jordan Michael Leseberg. From the moment I met you back in 2012, I was intrigued by you. You had this tough, almost cold exterior and a quick-witted sense of humor that drew me in. We quickly became friends. I can't count the number of times people asked me if we were dating, the amount of times I had to explain how I would never date someone who pushed my buttons the way you did. Even still, I found myself saying things like, I would personally never date Jordan, but you know he'd treat a girlfriend so well. Look at how he talks about his mom and sisters. When I think back on this, I smile, because even during the most platonic stage of our relationship, I know God was planting seeds for us. At that time, we weren't ready or deserving of the love he would later give us. We needed to grow individually while building the foundation of what would become our relationship and eventually our marriage. 3.5 years after I met you, you decided to pursue me. And although it took some convincing for me to believe you were being serious, I knew I was ready. 2 months later, I knew that you'd be the man I'd marry. Now, almost exactly 7 years later, as I stand here, ready to commit the rest of my life to you, I fall more in love with you every day. I love who I am with you. I love your fierce loyalty to me. I love how you make me laugh. You're the funniest person I know. I love your passion and determination. I love how you're always pursuing the best version of yourself. and I love your desire to keep God at the center of our relationship. Now, I recognize that we do not have a perfect relationship. We never have, and we never will. This once scared me. However, I have grown to love our imperfections and differences. I've seen how it's forced us to grow, individually and together as a team. I now treasure our differences. Your logical outlook on life challenges my emotional one, and your strengths complement my weaknesses. With this being said, I recognize that marriage comes with many challenges. My first promise to you is slightly unconventional, but one I know I can keep. I promise I will mess up. I also promise to always work on owning up to these mess-ups, to work on not blaming you to hide my failures. And when you mess up, I promise to always work on my compassion and forgiveness as well. I promise to keep up with you, to always pursue the best version of myself for you. I promise to continue to grow as an individual and together as a couple. I promise to be there always, no matter the circumstances, and to never give up. Lastly, I promise to eat cookies with you on every possible Sunday, starting tonight as a married couple, for the rest of our lives.